Welcome back to Sūkṣma, the quiet science of the soul. In episode 1, we saw how the universe is a living being, the Kal Purush. Today we turn the lens inward and see how that cosmic intelligence interacts with each one of us and what reflects the will of that being. Welcome, Yadavindra.
Hi, Vrinda. So glad to be here back.
So, Yadavindra, the last time we met the 9 grahas, the energies of the cosmos, how exactly do they interact with an individual?
We usually look at the planets as the celestial bodies in the sky, but the real way they connect is on a subtle level. And that's beautifully explained in the Vedantic philosophy of the 3 realms, 3 shariras. One is Sthul Sharira, that is the gross form of reality. Then you have Sūkṣma Sharira, which is subtle form of reality. And then you have Karan Sharira, which is causal form. What basically means is you have a reality that we sense through our 5 senses. It's very tangible, measurable.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you have something which is subtle. You intuit it. You just know it.
Mhm.
And then you have causal, which I think is the question of all spirituality, as what causes everything to occur. Coming back to the grahas, the celestial bodies that we see in space would be the Sthul Sharira, that is the gross body. We can
Yes.
measure them,
See
look
that.
at them. But the real connection that they have with us in our life is through the subtle reality, Sūkṣma Sharira. And what connects us is, when I say intuitive, it's a realm of consciousness. So they are somehow connected to us on the realm of consciousness.
Okay.
And that's where they play a role in our life.
So we can say they act like a bridge between our physical self and our cosmic self.
Very much, very much. Like I said, the grahas are parts of this single cosmic being called Kal Purush. And we interact with him through these grahas. So they become the bridge for us.
Okay. And so this bridge, we can say, it becomes visible to us. I mean, they act like a bridge, but how do we know about this bridge? Is it through, yeah.
That's where the natal chart comes. We have in Jyotish, that is the Vedic Astrology, we have a format called a natal chart, or in the Indian language, you call it kundali.
Okay.
Kundali, okay? And this is like a geographic diagram which is used to capture the physical movement of the planets, okay, just to get a grasp of them
Yes.
as to where they're positioned. And this diagram helps you to understand how they're related in your own life. But the knowledge of how they are as conscious beings is where the other part of Jyotish comes in. So you have a lot of texts, a lot of treatises
Okay.
written and passed down by seers for ever so long.
Yes.
And they explain how each position, the physical position in the space imported into the natal chart, gives an interpretation of their behavior in your life.
Okay. So I've seen this natal chart. I mean, it's there are different formats of it that also I've noticed. But basically, they have these 12 squares or triangles.
Yeah. So when you have a natal chart, first of all, we have natal charts in Western astrology, which is called the Hellenistic, and then we have the Vedic astrology format. And the one which is in the Hellenistic astrology looks very different from the form that we have in the Vedic astrology.
Okay.
Since we are discussing Vedic astrology, I would say that popular ones are 3. Okay, there's a North Indian chart, natal chart, a South Indian, and a Northeastern, which is more based on West Bengal. But the most popular that we see, suppose if you go online, you will see the North Indian chart. Now, North Indian chart, how it looks is a square, and then you've got square boxes, about 12 in number. And if you look, now if you have the chart on your screen, you look at the first box right in the middle at the top. That would be your first house.
Okay.
And if you calculate all the boxes, they'll amount to 12. And those are called 12 houses, or in Jyotish called 12 bhavas.
Okay.
Well, bhavas. What bhava basically means is realms of experiences.
Okay.
So, what the ancient rishis, the seers, told us that every human life is primarily divided into 12 realms of experiences.
Okay.
And when you look at the chart, there is a way of reading the chart. And as you understand, you will go by how each realm addresses a different aspect of your life. And these grahas situated would foretell the influence or the role they're playing.
Okay, so what you're saying is all the experiences that a human being goes through can come under these 12 parts.
Literally all experiences.
Is it? That's really quite interesting. So can you also explain what these 12 parts are? What
Yeah.
each house represents?
Actually, the list is enormous, but I'll just choose a few just to give you an idea. So, like
Yeah.
I said, when you have a first house right in the middle at the center top, that becomes the ascendant house,
Okay.
or we call it the Lagna Bhav. Lagna means the one who conjoins soul and the body together.
Okay.
Lagn.
Okay.
So, the first house represents primarily your mental disposition, your physical attributes, and your overall personality. The houses are to be read in a particular form. In this case, you read them counterclockwise.
Okay.
So you have first house, and then you go to the left. Is the
Okay.
second house, third house, and all the way till the 12th house, which is on the right side of the first house. Now, first house is very important because it tells you about you. The moment you look at the second house, it talks about your resources. So, in modern terms, your financial life, your savings, your immediate surroundings, your clothes, the kind of clothes you like, or you will probably have, the kind of food you like,
Oh.
the kind of room you would have. So much details can be foretold
Yeah.
if you analyze that house. Then you go to the third house. Third house is about whether you will have siblings. That means whether your life would be shared by others around you. Primarily siblings, because they become the people next to you in kin.
Yes. Yes.
Then with the siblings come your peers, if you have friends, close friends, school. Then you also have your ability to take initiatives.
Okay.
Your sense of courage is seen from the third house.
Okay.
Then you move to the fourth house. Fourth house is very important. And those who study psychology, particularly psychoanalysis, this house becomes very interesting because the most important question in psychoanalysis, when you go to a practitioner, they say, how was your relationship with your mother?
Okay.
And that answer can be given by analyzing the fourth house, because the fourth house represents your mother or maternal figure in your life. It also represents your childhood and your sense of past, your sense of past. Then you go to the fifth house. Fifth house is the house of children. The kind of children you will have, whether you'll adopt or you'll have boy first, girl first, stuff like that. And also some characteristics of children. But it also tells you about your level of intelligence, your ability to plan things,
Oh.
tells from the
Okay.
fifth house.
Fifth house.
Then you have the sixth house. Now, sixth house kind of addresses the areas of your life which you will experience as obstacles, difficulties, possible illnesses. Gives you an idea about how that will play a role in your life.
Okay. Not a very cheerful house.
It's see, the
Important.
Jyotish addresses impartially. They just want you to understand how the Sakal Purush has decided, in a way, willed himself to express in various parts of your life. Of that's a different question. What role you have to play? That's the whole point
Okay,
that we will
okay.
try to unravel. Now, the next house is seventh house. Seventh house is, if you notice, it is a box opposite to the first house.
Yes.
So in Jyotish, it is your significant other. It talks about your romantic life. It talks about your partnerships, particularly partnership in a marriage or long-term relationship.
Okay.
To a level, it can also talk about your business partnerships.
Okay.
You can know a lot from that. The next house is the eighth house. Eighth house again addresses aspects of your life which one can say are potential in nature. Your potential. Are you living your potential? The potential goods and bads that are likely to happen, the events. So 8th house is also suddenness. It gives you an idea about, will there be any sudden events in your life that will transform you?
Okay.
So the 8th house is a lot about transformation. It's a hidden house, they call it, Ashta.
Okay.
So a lot of things that might not seem anticipated in your life and whether they will happen or not can be seen from the 8th house. It's also a house of occult, your occult abilities to intuit, ESP and all that is seen from the 8th house.
Okay.
Then comes the 9th house. The 9th house primarily represents your fatherly figure, your teachers, higher education, your spiritual longing. Whether you will have a spiritual bent of mind or whether you will have spiritual connection can be seen from the 9th house.
Okay.
Then comes the 10th house. Now 10th house is interesting. It falls exactly opposite to the 4th. 4th was your mother, your childhood, your past. It's very intimate, very close circuited. 10th house is the stepping outside, adult life. It's your profession. It is about your social standing. What are you known for? What have you proved yourself to be as? Your social respectability is seen from the 10th house.
Okay.
Then comes the 11th house. 11th house is a very popular house among the Jyotish practitioners because it is the house of labh, means gains. So it talks about whether you'll have financial gains in life, whether you will feel fulfilled, fulfillment of desires is seen from the 11th house. Also gives you an idea about the larger network of people, like distant relatives, your social friends, acquaintances, who may play a role in your upliftment socially and otherwise. You know, you see a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, and when they try to reach their dream, you will see a lot of people behind them.
Yeah.
That's 11th house.
Okay.
So it gives you an idea about how people can play a role in your fulfillment. Now, the last house, it's the house of moksha.
Okay.
It's the house of detachment, deep spirituality. It's also the house of your unconscious, the unconscious tendencies, what you keep buried deep inside your heart, can be seen from your 12th house.
Okay.
In a way, also gives you an idea about how you would imagine the metaphysical world. If suppose someone's 12th house is very significant, you can say the person will be always interested in the world beyond, the query of beyond, what goes after this, you know, about God and all that. So it's a very, very spiritual, non-materialistic house.
So it's different from the spirituality of the 9th house.
Yes. 9th house is very worldly spirituality. You know, where you go to temples, you go to churches, you have a connect, you do yoga, asana, you go Vedanta, you do Bible. But 12th house is mysticism. It's where you have gone beyond all this. Your thirst and query is really wanting to know what is beyond. And if it is favorable, you actually get correspondence from the beyond. You know, so in a way you can meet Kalpurush through the 12th house.
That's very interesting, the 12 areas of our life. It's almost like it's the 12 arenas where the grahas can perform their roles.
So much. It's like a theater play, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So now you've described the houses and you've said this is the part of the natal chart. How does one get the natal chart? How do we go about that?
Actually, now it's become much easier than it used to be. Initially, a lot of manual work needed to be required because the practitioners had to understand the movement of the grahas and so much intricacy. So it took time. But now, I think with the modern technology, you have various astrological apps and websites. So all you need is only 3 data points. Very important. One is your accurate time of birth. Very important. Your date of birth, of course, very important. And the place of birth. A place of birth is very important because when you feed in these 3 data points into the system, it has its array of calculations with the longitude, latitude, the sunrise, the alignment of the planets to give you what comes as your personal horoscope. So it will give you a set of charts. Among them, the most important is the Lagna chart, which we spoke about.
Yeah.
and then you're ready to have that unfolded to help you understand
Okay.
what they have in store for you
Okay. So date of birth, time of birth, and place
and
of
the
birth.
place of birth.
And I think in the time, one has to be really accurate, even to the seconds, right?
Which I realized actually sometimes, when you look at the astrological function of time, there's something called shanas. Shanas is a term in Sanskrit used for moments.
Okay.
So they time in moments. So if you have your birth time with seconds, the potentiality of having a very accurate horoscope, because you need to know your lagna and all the grahas positioned so that you can interpret it and help you understand what the Kalpurush has for you, what he has decided or planned.
Okay.
Becomes very important.
Yeah, I think that's important for viewers to also keep in mind that the seconds also matter.
Matters a lot, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have the natal chart. I mean, we feed in this data points and one gets their natal chart. What is the next step? We go to an practitioner, astrologer.
Okay.
And
So there are two ways people do it. Either you can make your own chart, and if you know of an astrologer, it might make things easy for him or her, because then they can just look at your chart and all the calculations and give you an idea.
yeah.
The second is sometimes some practitioners have their own software.
Okay.
So if you are having somebody known to you, it's better to just check with them. Is it easy for them to carry your horoscope,
Okay.
or do they have their own software and you give them the accurate data points and then it's easy for them? Now
Okay.
that being the first step comes to the part when you actually meet the practitioner of Jyotish. Here there are two different ways of looking at it. The general practice that we incur is a practitioner looks at your chart. The focus of the practitioner is to address your query. And most of the time, your query would be in respect to some challenge that you're facing,
Yes.
or you're anticipating, or you have faced. And it's quite natural, the practitioner will be only focused on the causal factors. The grahas are aligned, that is giving you this experience or the anticipation.
Yes.
And what can you possibly do to alleviate it? Now, in Jyotish, there's a term called shant or shanti. It means to calm the graha, because it is believed the only reason a graha will express difficulties for you when it is experiencing difficulties.
Okay.
And that can be seen from your natal chart. To alleviate the graha's difficulty, you perform some remedial measures. Sometimes you can be prescribed a gemstone or a mantra or a puja. And the logic behind that is the practitioner knows that as these grahas interact in your life through this subtle reality of Sūkṣma Sharira consciousness, they also influence your objective reality. That means everything in existence on earth is also a representation of a graha energy. So when they talk about a gemstone, the gemstone corresponds to its energy.
Yes.
When they talk about a mantra, the sounds, it corresponds to energy. So actually the practitioner is trying to get you to invoke a language which can send out a message of peace and harmony to the graha, and graha can calm down. Now, many of these remedies can also invoke some higher deities, higher powers, which probably have an influence over graha's state itself. Okay. Now, ultimately, what's happening is there's an occult method of corresponding to have the Kalpurush use its ability to calm the disturbances in your life. Okay. That's something which is practiced generally. Now, what I am an advocate of practice is, in this whole thing, what gets missed out is the perception of the Kalpurush's presence in your life.
Yes.
The spiritual aspect of it. My recommendation, and some of the people that I know, the practitioner would not jump into remedies first. They will not get into that. What they will do is, they will first educate the client, the nature of the horoscope, what it is representing, which
Yes.
basically means representing the will and the desire of the Kalpurush, and how the Navgrahas, the 9 grahas, are different parts of the Kalpurush intending a life for you. And when there is a disturbance in that will or desire, what's actually happening is the Kalpurush is expecting you to participate.
Okay.
Okay, and the first way of participation is becoming conscious of this fact, conscious of the role of these grahas, their natures, and how they are interfacing with you in different events or through people. And that education really makes a big difference in the eyes of the person who has come to get the chart read.
Okay.
Now, this approach I feel is very enriching.
Yeah, we can say the first one gives information, the first approach, and the second one gives insight.
Inside, yes. And actually, when you have this level of awareness, my experience tells me that you are able to have a better quality of knowledge and wisdom in order to respond to grahas challenges to create harmony,
Yes.
like a yoga, you know.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I guess people go because, they just want the remedies. And that's why the practitioner advises them accordingly.
And I sometimes feel bad because a lot of times the science of Jyotish has become, somewhere it has lost its prestige, you know, because I guess the pressure on the practitioner is so much that they just have to give you, I suppose the doctors who don't have the bandwidth to explain to the patient the nature of the ailment, just
Yes.
write prescription and say, okay, that's what you want.
Yeah.
So the practitioners are in a way get pressurized. And what happens is sometimes because the wisdom gets lacked, the understanding for the client gets missed out as to
Yes.
what exactly they are dealing with. And they go on doing these things. And if they don't provide results, then they blame the astrology or astrologer. And I feel not very fair
Yeah.
because I think the pressure takes away the credibility here.
Yes. In fact, it almost feels like the purpose of Vedic astrology is to get remedies and, either through rituals or, like you said, the gemstones.
I feel that's a bit, slightly bit misleading. I wouldn't say remedies are not part of Jyotish Vidya, but the philosophical part to, like I said, Jyotishir, that means the lamp which gives you a perception of Ishwar. That spiritual angle is very important. So a practitioner should start with the philosophical part. Of course, I guess people don't have so much of time, but if you're going to spend so much money,
Yes.
and suppose you spend about 30 to 60 minutes, it's a good idea for you to just understand a little bit about the entity that you're dealing with. And then, of course, whatever measures they are giving you, I suppose you handle them with this attitude and this understanding.
Yes.
Makes a big difference in your life.
According to you, the main purpose of Vedic astrology is to know the cosmic being, like you said, the Jyotishwar.
Primarily, because it is the cosmic being who is in control, who is the one who is controlling every aspect of your life.
Okay, so we understand the cosmic being. And then after that, what? How do we...
So, it's suppose you replace grahas with people in your life, okay? And these people are playing a role. Suppose some of them are not so comfortable being in your life and they try to express by creating some inconvenience or difficulties. What do you usually do? You usually want to know who the person is, why is the person being the way it is, and sometimes just this standpoint change, the person's attitude towards you also starts changing. And I'm telling you, there's no difference between people and these conscious beings, the grahas. So when you're told that such and such graha is creating a challenge and difficulty in your life, and it kind of opens up the characteristics of the graha, it personifies as a being who is as real as you and me, positioned in that realm of experience in your life and expressing him or herself.
Okay.
The fact that you understand their personality type, how they are, the first inception of this change itself triggers a different response from the graha.
Okay, if it triggers a different reaction.
So that's the first thing. And then after that, Of course, besides some ritualistic measures, you have a shift in your behavior pattern, the choices that you make in your life, lifestyle changes, which kind of align with the energy represented by that graha. So, what happens is you start maybe not mimicking, but trying to be in harmony with that graha in your life.
Okay. When you say choices that we make, so are you saying that we have the freedom, that life is not given to us in the natal chart like as determined, but we have the choice to make it different?
Actually, this part or the philosophical part that the practitioner should introduce you to plays a key role in bringing you awareness of the free will that you have in your life. Because the grahas, if they're positioned in a certain way at the point of your birth, they will continue to behave and create those events in your life till you become aware of them, their nature, and start using your own free will to make choices differently from the way you have been automatically nudged.
Okay.
And that amount somehow starts co creating your fate into destiny.
Okay.
So when you look at a horoscope, I think there's another misconception people have of Jyotish or astrology is it is a very deterministic science.
Yes.
But actually, it is a science of probabilities. And the reason I'm highlighting the consciousness of these beings, personification of these beings, is because they are also positioned in a way waiting for you to become aware
Okay.
and react and co participate so that they can then either alter or change the degree of mostly the
Yeah.
difficulties that they're creating because you have understood what you need to do, and
So,
that makes a
yeah, in a way, we can say that the first free will choice that we are making is to get this knowledge, to understand the grahas. That
that
would
would
be
be the
the,
first.
so that we can improve the scope of our experiences.
I think that beautifully put because that is what happens even in our mundane life. When we have awareness of the choices and the options that we have available to us, we are able to change the quality of our choices and change the quality of the outcomes
Okay. Suppose, and you say that can change the outcome of what the chart has foretold for me.
to a large degree.
Suppose if I just taking up an example, if I wanted to go in for higher studies, but my chart says it doesn't show that possibility, and the astrologer informs me that. Do you think that by using my free will, I can change this outcome?
It again depends on the discretion of the practitioner of Jyotish, their own intuitive ability, how tuned are they in with the grahas and the nature of grahas. There's a lot of analysis that goes on to answer one question. That's why a lot of astrologers will limit the number of questions you want to ask them because each question will compel them to go into analysis of different houses and the conjunctions and the aspects and what we call as yogas.
Okay.
Okay,
It's a
it's
complex.
very complex, but to simply put, usually the probability is on a scale.
Okay.
Sometimes there are positions of grahas which inform the practitioner that the scope of changing that is quite limited. So one can say the change of what the query that you have could be dependent on the number of or the amount of effort you're willing to make. So the practitioner
Okay.
will inform you. That means don't have false hopes, but they will give you an idea of what can you possibly expect if you were to make the right efforts. And
Okay.
in other cases, the grahas are positioned in a way that they themselves are more flexible. So, and you don't know that,
Yes.
and probably you have gone to some other one astrologers, maybe someone has informed you or not informed you, but a good practitioner will give you an idea of raising your hope and also give you some guidance as
Okay.
to what can you possibly do. Now, Jyotish, apart from the grahas and the nature, a very important aspect which it plays a key role. Jyotish is also known as Samaya Vidya. Samaya Vidya means the knowledge of time. So a good practitioner, even if they see, okay, it's not possible, they might want to look when could it be possible, because it is believed in the passage of time there could be openings,
Okay.
and they could suggest to you that maybe at this point in time you can expect a
Yes.
positive result, and probably from the time now till then you can make a set of events, efforts, which can increase the possibilities.
Like keep everything ready when the window opens, then you can act.
You can just enjoy the fruit.
Okay. I remember that beautiful analogy that was there about the goat and the rope to, about free will.
Yeah.
Can you share that with the...
So it's a very popular analogy just to help you understand the difference between fate and free will. Fate and destiny using your free will.
Okay.
So goat is tied to a pole through a rope. Now goat, unfortunately, is you.
Yes.
And the pole is existence. And this rope is the level of free will. And the knowledge that the goat has of the length of the free will, that means how much length of the rope gives it the ability to move around,
Yes.
enhances the ability to maximize the potential. Now, Jyotish says you could be having 30 to 40 feet rope and you are quietly sitting just within 2 or 3 feet dimension. Now, there is no way anyone is going to come and tell you. It's your choice. You could just
Yes.
sit there just because you have made up your mind. Now, if you were to go and just explore Jyotish, you could be informed that, actually you can move all the way till that 30, 40 feet. And not only the length, you can also move around.
Around.
So there's a lot of exploration that you can do. So basically, the idea is that you are your choices, and your choices are highly dependent on the level of awareness and knowledge you have. Jyotish is that knowledge which can contribute to maximizing your potential.
Yeah. So, like you said, even if there's more awareness, the rope length itself may be increased. That is, the grahas may change their attitude if you understand them in a better way.
So now, see, first of all, to distinguish the length of the rope depends a lot on the ability of the practitioner, because it's, see, at the end of it, Jyotish is an occult science in the sense it is not easily understandable. It is not so easily measurable. You can measure the movement of the planets, but the interpretation, you're dealing with real beings,
Yes.
conscious parts of the larger being. So there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot can be banked upon your intuitive abilities.
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of practitioners first must be gifted with the ability to see the length of the rope, because to be able to discern that itself is a big challenge. Okay, that's why a lot of people don't know, can they trust Jyotish or not, because one says one, another says another, third person says another. But suppose you do come across some clear answer, and then you feel that you would like that rope to be extended. This philosophical part that I was talking about
Yes.
becomes very important, not the practitioner part.
Yes.
The remedies will only help you within
overcome,
that rope,
yes.
what you can do. But the philosophical part, if you ingest it, you can actually extend the scope of the rope.
Okay.
That I feel is a very important aspect of Jyotish, which I feel blends spirituality and astrology together.
Very fascinating.
So the philosophical part plays such an important role in actually changing your fate into destiny. And there's a very realistic example I have seen in my practice. Now, I have the knowledge of Jyotish, but I also have the knowledge of palmistry. In fact, palmistry is a very ancient science grounded in the Vedic civilization. In fact, astrology, like I said, has got some import in material, but palm reading, I feel, is very native to this land. And when I studied that and years of practice, what I noticed was when you look at someone's palm, suppose you go to a practitioner of palmistry, they will usually ask you to show both the hands, and then they'll ask you which is your dominant hand. Okay, the reason being, the non-dominant hand is the hand that you're born with.
Okay.
So all the lines, the major lines and the minor lines, go on autopilot, changing and developing,
Okay.
whereby the dominant hand tells you what you have done in your life with what you have had. So a good practitioner of palmistry is able to infer when you were born what tendencies, what natural inclinations you have had, and how were you supposed to create your life and attract or repel things. And the moment that person looks at your dominant hand, starts looking at this change of how you've used your conscious ability and your free will to change
Your
the
fate.
scope of your fate. And within that also there's an entire spectrum, because sometimes some of the major lines change drastically, sometimes they change on a minor level, but the minor lines change quite a bit.
Okay.
And they say every 7 years, according to the belief within palmistry, the lines on your palm should represent all the things that you have done consciously, and what difference have you made from the life that you were born with.
Okay.
So this, I feel, upon observation, gives you a very clear idea about the existence of free will and how it is deeply connected to your conscious choices.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So going back to the goat and the rope. So the rope is fixed, but the dance is ours.
I guess dance is the way of our life.
Yeah, very interesting. So this gives a whole new meaning to astrology. It isn't a tool for control, but rather for collaboration. A whole new way to align with the intelligence that flows through us. Thank you, Yadavindra, for showing us how the stars don't bind us. Rather, they invite us to participate with them, isn't it?
Very well put. And that participation is your freedom. Once you understand the will of the Kalpurush, the first thing that you do is you stop resisting it, and life just flows through you thereafter.
Wow.
For
Wow.
you.
That feels so good, actually. You start feeling lighter when you, in a way.
And I think that's the most important aspect of it, that feeling to experience life, like you said, the dance, and then everything seems like orchestra and symphony, and that's what life is about. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yadavindra. So in the next episode, we will get into the chart, how we go about it, and we will look at the houses and the zodiac signs. Till then, may curiosity remain your light. This is Sūkṣma, the quiet science of the soul.